Right, you beautiful lot, grab your cuppa, warm your thumbs for some keyboard warfare in that comment section, because round 10 is done and dusted. We've had some upsets, we had some blowouts, we've had some close games, and we've had one or two performances that kind of just make you think this side is ready to win the flag. There's also been some head-scratching performances that'll mean the selection panel of certain sides will feel like they've just read Shakespeare in Swahili. The winless Eagles, not anymore. The Bombers, they were embarrassed, but they looked like they'd found some form recently. And the Swans, just when you think they're dead, they put in a performance. Every team had a story. We're going to go club by club, giving each side their flowers, or in some cases, a frying pan to the face. We'll look at some trends, some tactical standouts, and some stinkers, all wrapped up in what we love to call PommyInOz's round wrap-up. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Help a brother out. We're well on our way to 8K. I'd love to hit 10K by the end of the year. I feel like we deserve that as a community. Let's run the intro, get straight into it. The Adelaide Crows, close but no cigar. Another Crows Magpies masterpiece, and these two sides seem to just really generate a really good game. But unfortunately for the Crows, it seems to end up the same way. That's 10 in a row. That's 9 of the last 10 they've lost to the Pies, and they pushed them all the way, it has to be said, in what was a tale of two halves. It was nice first half, started to piss down the second in classic Melbourne conditions, really. And they edged some of the data metrics, particularly the inside 50s, but again, their woefulness in front of goal really, really, really hurt them. The big takeaway from this is Adelaide are definitely the real deal. It stacks up against the top teams. They just don't get points, unfortunately, for gallant losses. The execution really cost them. They have made some structural changes to help their defence, but it's about maximising that ability when you have it. Jordan Dawson, he was everywhere. 27 touches, 8 tackles and a goal. Isaac Rankine is fast becoming one of my favourite players to watch. 26 touches, a goal, and just has that game-breaking ability. And Darcy Fogarty, is there a better set shot at goal? Clinical, 4 goals in what was junkyard conditions. But again, the same room for improvement. It's the same amount of shots despite winning inside 50s by 8. It tells the story. You have to be class, you have to be composed in the forward half. And again, they were lacking in the big moments. Brisbane Lions, the fortress cracked again. Brisbane blew a golden opportunity at home. Up at the break against the Demons, they shipped unanswered goals in the last term to lose at the Gabba. 2 losses from their last 3. That is warning signs for the current reigning premiers. The Lions seem to have this worrying trend at the moment that once momentum goes against them, they can't find a way back into it. At the moment, they feel like they fold when they're asked a question. Lockie Neal, he had 30 touches. Humour Cluggage, 28 and a goal. They were solid and they drove the midfield. Darcy Gardner, 4 goals. Who would have thought? Brisbane looked shell-shocked at times. That's one of the rooms for improvement. They conceded 62 points from turnover. At times, it felt like their great leadership and composure just left them and they were stuck in a rut. They've got a real big game against Hawthorn this week, and that could be nervy if they lose that. Carlton, another one that got away. Carlton are like one of the best sides if we just played 2 quarters, which would be 2 halves. What I'm used to. Led by 3/4 time, lost by 16. It's the same script, but it's a different week. Carlton had the Swans on toast early doors, but they can't close the door, and that comes down to their inefficiency inside 50. 5 of the next 6 goals in the 4th quarter went their way, and the Blues slipped to 4 and 6. The big takeaway is the Blues can't finish at the minute. It's now a pattern, and it's now really affecting the season. Voss said he was peed off, and fair enough. It's game management, and at the minute, they really don't have it. Their best to the worst might be the biggest disparity in the AFL. Patrick Cripps again led from the front, 26 touches, 19 of them contested, 2 goals, an absolute warrior and a Herculean effort. Adam Cherra, 34 touches, George Hewitt, 27. They ranked it up, but it felt like they didn't really control the pace of the game when they needed to. And Charlie Curnow, 3 goals, 1 from 9 marks. He was a menace up forward, but one of the guilty guys of getting the composure leaving him as he played on inexcusably, which that goal could have been so important. Room for improvement, that small forward structure, you've got to leave your smalls at home. Motlop, Evans, White, all 0 goals and literally playing miles away from goal. And let's talk about the ruck. Grundy monstered Pitternet in that second half. De Koning coming back and re-signing seems very urgent. Collingwood, win ugly? Absolutely. They didn't dominate clearance and they lost the inside 50 count. But again, they found a way to win. This was a very similar game to what the Fremantle game was. And this is what good teams do. The Pies weathered Adelaide's best and then they found their moment and they executed. 3 goals late in terms in quarter 3 and early in the quarter 4, it really did put the game to bed. And the big takeaway is teams win and they find different ways to win, do Pies. They're tactically versatile, they're structurally versatile, and it is elite to watch. Adelaide came with pressure and the Pies stood tall and then counterpunched when they needed to. Josh Dacos, 29 touches, 524 metres gained, and the best wing to halfback move probably you've ever seen. He looks rejuvenated. And he was pretty impressive on the wing, it has to be said, a couple of years ago. Jeremy Howe was a rock. He controlled the skies, 13 intercepts. And Maynard, again, he just is that metronome of physicality when they needed to. I felt like when he was getting up and about, that drives the Pies. Clearances, again, room for improvement. This is where you can beat them. But the problem is, it's easy saying it. You just can't do it. They do play North, who are very clearance-focused. It might not matter, though, because when it comes to September, you know this side will be there. Essendon, an absolute embarrassment. Seems the curse at the minute when the media write your defence is good. Something happens the next week and a big shellacking that made the Bombers look like training blankets at times. 1 goal at half-time, no pressure, no pride, completely outworked by a very, very, very hungry Dogs. This was a regression to probably the worst of what we see of Essendon in the last 10 years. And it felt really, really poor. It felt like there was no structural change. It felt like they didn't really do anything. Nick Martin tried to stem the bleeding. He was pretty good. 3 clearances, a goal and 25 touches. Nate Caddy, he had some big moments, but it needs more than that. And you have to look at this game, Zach Merritt, for the first time for a while, he had a real shocker. And again, only generating 37 inside 50s. The ball movement was archaic. It was really methodical. It looked like they'd already checked out. It looked like a pre-season game. This was really bad from Essendon, and they need to improve quick smart because all the credits they've got in the bank will quickly go if you have a couple of them losses. Fremantle, full 4 quarters finally. Fremantle finally put it all together. From the first bounce, they really did exercise their game style on GWS. The margin, in my opinion, should have been a lot more than what it was. They did get a little bit yippy in front of goal. The big takeaway is this is what Fremantle need to do weekly. The defence was cohesive. The midfield actually controlled the pace of the game. And Bolton just really did showcase why he was such a big acquisition to link that midfield to the forward line. Sarong, 36 touches, 8 clearances, 695 metres gained. He was absolutely a bullock in that midfield. Shai Bolton, 3 goals, 10 score involvements. Electric, just changes the game on a whim. And Luke Jackson dominated all over with 32 hitouts. Again, this is the big thing with Fremantle. We'll see this about a lot of teams. 13 goals, 17. They did keep that door open, but when this side clicks, it should be good. They've got to try and be a bit more offensive. At times, it still feels like they're in yellow when we need them to be in red. Geelong Cats, perfection in that second half. Geelong weathered an early scrap. They copped some big injuries in this game, but they went nuclear in that second. 12 goals, 10 to 2 goals, 3. They absolutely cooked the power, and the Cats were ruthless after what has been an up and down last 5 games. The team doesn't need a big star to be dangerous. Even without players, they just find a way. And Dangerfield and Bowes went off early, but they hunt so well, and they have such a good understanding on what each other does in their system. Jeremy Cameron, 7 goals, pick your poison, he killed it. Bailey Smith, 30 touches, 10 score involvement, 7 clearances. Probably one of the best acquisitions in the off-season. He will be leading the Brownlow come this point. And Shane Manor, he's efficient, he's dangerous. His link-up play is absolutely fantastic. Potentially, I would say Geelong's most important player from a structural point of view. They cantered room for improvement in the first half, which they have done a few times, and it's allowed teams to get a jump on them. But when they find their mechanism, they are dangerous. They are a real strong contender. Do not write off the Cats. Gold Coast Suns, tell you what, Darwin Fortress, 8 wins in a row at TIO, and the Suns are too fit, too classy, and too clutch, and they really did overwork the Hawthorn in what is a tricky place to play. Every time Hawthorn looked like they were getting back in it, Gold Coast had another gear and an answer. Big takeaway from this, Darwin, they want to play more games there. They know the ground, the weather, the rhythm, and with that midfield, they torch sides there. And it's about now bringing this back to Victoria. That's where probably the question mark hangs. Noah Anderson, 35 touches, 16 contested, 865 metres gained, and 12 clearances, led from the front. What a captain. Not enough talked about Noah Anderson's form this year. He has been sensational. Took Miller, again, milestone game, 7 tackles. He was the heart and soul. And Matt Rowell, 29 touches, 9 tackles. He is so hard to stop. And that midfield is just so well balanced. Runs for improvement. They gave up 72 turnovers in this game, and that could cost them against some of the better sides. Their ability to slingshot, though, does kind of negate that. This is a real important win for them because they found a way, and well done, Gold Coast. GWS, we talk about the Orange Tsunami. At the minute, it's more like a dribble, isn't it? It feels like ages since they got a home game, but Fremantle bullied them. They picked them off, and the big thing with GWS is once you stop their ball movement, it's GG's. A 4-goal last quarter makes the scoreboard look more respectable, but again, it's not clicking, and that's the big takeaway. When their transition game doesn't work and when you slow down their ball movement, the whole system seems to fold down. There was some takeaways. Darcy Jones continues to impress. 8 score involvements, 2 goals. Finn Callaghan, unfortunately, they lose him to injury, but 7 clearances, 8 tackles. But when they can't get the ball in quick enough, Jesse Hogan just is basically stood there. Sam Taylor and Jack Buckley, they were under duress in this game, and rooms for improvement is that midfield pressure's got to be better. They've got to find a way to go slow and contested when the game allows. At the minute when that happens, it's a real breakdown, and it stops players like Green and Hogan having an impact. At the minute, there is no plan B, and Fremantle executed shutting the ball movement down. They play a team this week that will thrive on that in the Blues. Hawthorn, brave, but not quite ready to get over the line there. From 32 points down to leading at the late in the quarter 3. It looked like it was going to be good, but again, the Suns found a way to run over the top of them. A fighting loss, but it is a loss. The Hawks are developing beautifully at the minute, and it's got to be said. But at the minute, it just feels like they're really missing some of their key players. And they have got a few outs, but it just feels like they're so close. They are like on the precipice of breaking out. Nick Watson, he had 3 goals. He was electric everywhere. Jai Newcomb, real metronome. 10 contested, 29 touches and a goal. And Carl Amon, winding back the years, 884 metres gained, 30 touches. But again, around the clutches, negative 15 in clearances. And James Sicily, really, is he injured? I don't know. He just feels like he's really struggling. And particularly in the last, he really suffered. Very interesting with Hawks because it's a dangerous team. This week is a huge game against Brisbane because that will be a much-needed resurgence should they win that. Melbourne, season rebooted. Melbourne went to the Gabba and came home with the points. It has to be said, no, Oscar McInerney probably helped this because Matt Scorn did what he wanted. He dominated. And Jake Melsham, who would have thought he would be the match winner? But, has to be said, I'm still not sold on their brand. But this is the thing. When you play this heavy contested game style, if you're not at the races, you can get absolutely monstered in the engine room. And this is the kind of win that gives you some life, doesn't it? Everyone has written them off, including myself. But they've got a bit of momentum. Their last 5, they've been very impressive. Max Gorn, 46 hit-outs, 22 touches, 8 clearances. He is dominating. Jake Melsham, match-turning presence. And Keziah Pickett, 2 goals, 4 from 21. Could have had 5. Like, this guy was insane. But this is it. 4 wins in 5. But then early inconsistencies linger. If you get it on the outside and you play football, can they do it? And Brisbane just seem to never control that narrative. This is going to be a real interesting watch for me because they could ruin finals hopes for people. North Melbourne, they finally did it. North win, it was at the G, first time since 2017. The rooms exploded out of the gates, kicked 6-0 in the first, and they found a way to cling on, and that's been the big question mark with North. Can they hold on? This is the kind of win that does give some kudos to the rebuild. The youth stepped up, the leader stood tall, and some joy. Some joy, and the Roos deserve it. Tristan Jerry continues to be the best ruckman in the competition. 12 tackles, 51 hit-outs, he was dominant. Cam Zerha, 4 goals, back to his beast mode. And Colby McKercher was absolutely brilliant. 27 touches, 10 tackles, a real metronome for such a young man. Clarkson, he got the win he needed. The skill level and decision-making needs to be polished. Can you do this against the middle-tier teams? They don't want to be bottom four. They want to be in that next four, in my opinion. So the signs are there, but they've got to be able to do it. And there was some very shaky moments in that fourth. Port Adelaide, that was embarrassing. They folded in front of an home crowd. Injuries hitting hard, and the effort is just falling rapidly off the cliff. After half-time, 12 goals 10 versus 2 goals 3. One of the ugliest performances you'll see, and the slide is real. 3 straight losses, finals have gone, and let's be honest, they don't really look dangerous at the AO. Sam Powell-Pepper, 23 touches, 2 goals. He really does put in a shift. And Connor Rosie, 32 touches, but again, didn't really do anything. Port, they had more disposals, but the rest of it looks horrible. This is a real shock at the minute. They need to find something. Richmond, heartbreaking this, but impressive that they play this way. Down early, they fought back, they fell short, but 4-point loss, but full of spirit. Uze has the boys playing with heart. They're playing the way they want to in 3 or 4 years' time. This is going to pay them back. The Tigers have done it the right way. They've rebuilt well. But slow starts and set shot misses and things like that, that's going to be something that they need to mature. And this game really was a winnable game. And it's probably the first time we can be harsh on them because I really did think Richmond would get this. Tim Taranto, 30 touches, 10 clearances. He was a bull. Seth Campbell, what a player he is. 3 goals. And McIntosh stood up and got some rewards with 2 goals. They gave North a head start and that was costly. But there is something to build on. St Kilda, from a slump to absolutely free falling. They lost to the winless Eagles, turned it over in horrific spots, couldn't score, looked rattled from the jump. They travelled horrifically. And this was the loss that really asked questions of the season. Not just because what it means now, but almost the direction of the club. This was an apathetic performance from them, and that is a shame. Rowan Marshall, 27 touches, 40 hit-outs, 1 goal. He was sensational. Jack Higgins, 5 goals. Jag Sinclair, 38 touches, nearly a kilometre gained. He covered every blade, but room to improve. They've got to find a way to go through the motions. At the minute, it feels real stodgy and they want teams to come on them and pick them out the back. The discipline left them this week and it was really poor. And that's the problem with Saints. It doesn't feel like that they have the spark to go another way. And this was a really bad loss. Sydney, still alive, still kicking. Down for most of the night, exploded in quarter 4. 5 of the last 6 goals and the big name stood up. You'll never count the Swans out, but sneaking into September seems a lifetime away. But when they play well, it's still there. Their second half looked elite, and it has been all year. It's giving up these leads, and they can't keep putting this pressure on them. They did it this time, but this has been the story of the season. They let a team get the jump, they fight back, they don't do it. Isaac Heaney, 38 touches, 2 goals, 5. This could have been a legacy game if he'd kicked straight. Chad Warner, 30 and 2. He was big in big moments. And Brodie Grundy dominated in the ruck. Slow starts. A very held-together forward line. McInerney and Amati both suspended now. That is a real big concern because you saw how Amati straightened them up. And McInerney is so good at what he does. But good win. Well done, Sydney. Dogs, ruthless, relentless, and at times utterly ridiculous. This was a demolition. Plus 84 disposals, plus 24 inside 50s, plus 13 goals. Couldn't have been a bigger margin if you tried, but it could have been if they kicked straight. This could have been an absolute ridiculous one. The balance at the minute, the big takeaway is how balanced this side is, and they've got better players to come in. This is the best Doggy side I have ever seen, even better than the grand final side. You put Darcy in this team, GG's. Bailey Dale, club record 49 touches, a kilometre gained, insane. Riley West, 4 goals, he looks really strong. And Tim English and Liberatore, they dominated in the clearances, 16 between them, they dominated. And 18-19 says it all, sharpen the kicking boots, and this could have been way more. West Coast Eagles, spirit, pressure, and the perfect tribute. Where has this Eagles been hiding? On an emotionally charged weekend, they got up for the legend that is Adam Selwood. West Coast brought heat and then some more. Pressure at every contest, clear intent to play for each other, and they stunned the Saints with their first win of 2025. And this was more of a win. This was a statement of resilience. Despite losing disposals and giving up the ball, they won clearance, contested ball. hit the scoreboard. They looked really, really, really strong, and this was great to see. They very much needed this. Brady Howe was instrumental, winning loads of ball goals, and also the tackles, a real strong performance from him. Liam Ryan, he kicked goals in a blink of an eye that really killed them in the last. And Harley Reid, big time impact from him, 2 goals, was everywhere. And Oscar Allen, absolute brilliant speech at the end of the game and led from the front. There's still room for polish, and obviously there's a lot to go, but this was really the Eagles playing on emotion and was great to see, and hopefully this stands them in good stead. So there you have it, round 10 served chaos, and there was a few reality checks. The D's, they look kind of alive, they're in a bit of form. The Dogs, they keep barking, and Fremantle continue to be the yo-yo side of this comp. And if you're a Saints fan, you're probably playing for cricket season. But don't worry, the fixture doesn't let up. There's some brilliant matchups in round 11. And we can't wait to get stuck into them. Let me know who impressed you this week for your team. Who's under more pressure at the minute than a sausage at a barbecue? If you laughed, you learned, and you launched your remote or your telly, let me know. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and whack that bell harder than Tailby Green at a tribunal hearing. I'll see you next time. I'm full of cold. Pom out.